Hello and welcome to This and That. I'm Dave Leese.
And I'm Jonathan Byer. Happy New Year, Dave.
Happy New Year! Well, for all of you who are new here, please subscribe below. Smash that like button to let us know that you are picking up what we are putting down, and make sure to leave everything in the comments below. Although, to be honest, you would do it anyway.
Yeah, why did you say that? Yeah. No, we do love most of the comments. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Although I do know that after a show has been up for a couple of days, somehow the comments always go really negative. So when I get the notification on my phone that someone commented, I'm like, oh, okay, yep, we're going to get a homophobic comment. Someone's going to say that we're jealous. Someone's going to, right? But they...
Something about anti-American, something.
But they always...
Yeah.
No, Russiophobic. But they always tend to pretend like they don't know who we are, but then they write very specific insults. So it's always fun. So anyway, there's a
fun
lot...
is a neat word to describe that, Dave.
So there's always a lot to discuss. We've got some news, we've got Korean nationals, and we've got spinning out to break down. So just starting with a little bit of news here, we did find out that Vincent Zhou is changing coaches. He had worked with Miyamada over the summer. Then he was kind of off the ice for a while when he was at Brown University. He had a shoulder injury over the summer. I imagine that had something to do with him deciding not to go to the Grand Prix assignments. But he was supposed to be working with Mark and Peter, and with Tammy was supposed to be flying in all through that time. It didn't really happen. Now we find out that he is going to be taking a gap year, aka postponing Brown.
Makes total sense.
Total sense. No, no shame in the game. It's just...
Right.
We'll get into this. Total sense, taking time off from Brown, going to Canada, and going to be working with Laureen and Lee Barkell. Lee Barkell is the main technical coach, obviously, and then Mia Hamada as well. We'll be continuing that collaboration. Remember, he has a sponsorship in Japan to cover his training and whatnot. So lots of moving parts going on with Vincent always, which is always kind of a Nicole Bobek red flag, but... As far as Brown goes, I feel like, it makes perfect sense. And perhaps he wanted a break and whatever. We did say this in the fall, in the summer. I don't think that that's really going to work. He's 90 minutes from a rink. It just seems to, and people were like, let him live his life, blah, 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 blah. You know how the skating fans can be. But
right.
We're now seeing that, yes, he is indeed taking time off from Brown.
Well, and the interesting thing for me was when we were talking about Satoko at Japanese Nationals and what is this connection with Mia Hamada and Lee Barkell and this sort of back and forth, this really did sort of solidify a partnership between Lee Barkell and Mia Hamada, because it was yet another. Yeah, I mean, it sort of did make the Satoko move seem more part of the team, I guess.
And it's great for Lee Barkell because when Lee left the cricket club, and whatever the reasoning was there, he did lose a lot of students, especially some of his junior mens. I'm not sure some of the younger students there, the Joseph fans that he would work with, a Conrad Orzel type, all of those skaters that were involved, he doesn't have that much, work necessarily. And then now he has Satoko, he has Gabby Daleman still, and now having Vincent come in, then you get a lot of exposure. And it's so funny how cyclical skating can be. And all of a sudden, it seems like Lee Barkell has a third testicle because you're going to start to seeing people go to him, right? This is how skating works. Tomsey is on the down. We see people leaving Tomsey. Now we see that Lee Barkell is on the up. People are going to say that Lee Barkell is the new answer to things. So,
but isn't that interesting? Because it seems to be based on other people's decisions that one might say that instead of results. Because if you're looking on paper and Sachoko's had a very tough season, understandably so, with all these circumstances and
none
situations.
Of that is Lee's fault, though.
Of course not, but the same with Gabby. Obviously, had a very scary fall. So it's interesting, the idea that even though there are no results to show for this potential,
I mean, Lee's been a solid coach for many years, right? Is the world's greatest coach. The results don't show that, but he has been a very solid coach for many years. His skaters have strong jumps. He has a close proximity to Laureen and a close working relationship with Mia Hamada. So I think that is very attractive. And I think for Vincent, my thought process is for here, and I was going to say before that nationals are coming up and people tend to make decisions about leaving training situations after nationals if someone goes poorly. So I could see Lee getting, 3-4 more students in the coming weeks. I think this is kind of how that tends to happen. He has people coming, more people will be like, oh, that's a good option. As far as this goes for Vincent, his jumps are his jumps. He's always had these under rotation problems. They've worked on them. They've retweaked them. They've whatever. I think for him, the biggest thing is skating every day, staying healthy, and the fact that he'll be close to Laurine and still working with Mia Hamada, that's really what's going to make the difference for Vincent. It's really going to be about the skating skills, the consistency, and the presentation. I think that that's going to be the biggest thing that's going to take him between here and the Olympics. I don't think he's going to learn a quintuple jump. I don't think we're going to see much more than what he can already do in terms of refining that. So that's right. But for him, the biggest stuff are those skating skills, the presentation, the finish.
Well, and I would think, even if he has been skating, I think there's got to be a push to keep up, to maintain where he was. You know what I mean? I think it's a game to get back to where one started, sort of.
And for sure. And he doesn't need to be where he was at Worlds to make the world team. No. Right. It's great for U.S. figure skating because we didn't really have a second man or a third man. Jason Brown, but we've seen that is up and down this season, and there was a big
Tamoki, very, very all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, and Camden, Torgashev, they have not stepped it up for a long time. They're kind of almost like a wayward lost generation that hasn't really stepped through. So I think we're going to, with Vincent coming back, if he can get in decent form, and I imagine he's been skating at least a couple of weeks before going there after his finals, you would think, okay, this is something. But it is interesting when you start to look at how many coaches Vincent Zhou has had. He worked with Charlie Tickner, Justin Dillon. He's been to Tammy at least 3-4 times. Peter Konkasem, remember Yuka Sato, they worked with her for a summer, and then she said, no way. Tom Z at least 2 or 3 times. He worked with Christy Kroll. He worked with Drew Meekins, Mia Hamada, and now Lee Barkell. And those are just the people that have been his primary coach. They tried to work with Frank at one point, all sorts of things. So you can tell that is a very...
I feel like they probably even sat around Brian and the cricket club earlier.
I imagine they've contacted Brian, but not everyone wants to get into that tenuous situation.
In that. Yeah, exactly. So that it's so well known that that's going to be a factor. Yeah.
Well known, you just have to look at the roster of coaches and something is amiss.
Right. and we know what/who it is. So
it's all of it. I don't think it's one person. It's everything. So hopefully that will bring some stability and moving towards. It's just interesting that it's written in a way as though he's taking a gap year, as though he would go back to Brown in a year. Obviously, I think that they would postpone or whatever, or figure something out, some other arrangement.
Because the time to do that even closer to the next Olympics would not be the time to try to do it again.
Because a year from now, then you're ramping up for the next Olympics. That's the reality of the situation. Is where we are. So, anyway, more to come on that with Vincent, but I think it'll be interesting to see what's happening at nationals, and it certainly makes that way more interesting. Also, did you read the Morgan Cipres apology?
Okay, no, I did not, and I didn't know that one existed, but I was thinking about this because, in my opinion, this story didn't take off the way it might have. Or, in my opinion, it isn't causing the waves I think other stories like this have.
Well, I think that original story, there were a lot of characters in the story that made it
confusing. Yeah.
I just think the reality of whatever, the information that could be verified at a certain, point in time was very confusing. And it's not as though these people, yes, they're known in skating, but who are they known outside of? People, Morgan, it shows you where skating is. The fact that everyone's like, okay. And the other thing, too, is that when you have anonymous victims and you don't have pictures of people and you have it being a kid, I think that it loses some of the emotional resonance. People are visual.
Well, and I didn't know as if this was because it was USA Today, and this was a French skater that somehow there was already a disconnect or something. I wasn't.
Course. But is interesting that Morgan, they have the message, so you don't have to say alleged. He wrote a text message on Instagram to the mother. So it was sent on December 30th from his official Instagram account, and USA Today has a copy of it. And he said, I'm sending
to the mother of the victim.
Yes.
Or alleged victim. Or what?
I'm sending you a message because of what happened with, and then the name is removed, and the message began. I want to first apologize about my stupid things I did. It was irresponsible from my side, and I do really regret my act. So I am asking your apologies sincerely, and I hope we can all be right on this. Cipres did not say why he was apologizing or what he specifically did that he believed required an apology, which I think is all well and good until we get to this part, Jonathan. This is like where I think he becomes like a delusional skater, and when you give a crap apology. His message continued, it was always a good moment to work at the rink with your daughter. Okay, that line, he just admitted that he's coaching her at the rink. And remember, he's not an accredited coach, so that's a whole other can of worms. And if John's...
Now, we got to be careful, though, because all of this sounds like a clunky Google translation that he's done himself, like when he said, hope we can all be right on...
Excuse me, Jonathan, he was on our show. He could speak English well enough. That is bullshit.
But I could see him saying working as in, like, working alongside. But he was actually coaching.
Yes, he was actually coaching.
Okay.
There are Venmo things to show that.
Okay.
I mean, that's not going to get Morgan in trouble as far as it could get other people in trouble who were facilitating that. And I'm thankful for the trust you give me. I'm really sorry, and I wanted to let you know all of this. Please accept my apologies, Morgan. He then sent another message. It is also a very important moment for me. This season is really stressful and hard because of the Olympics, but I wish you can understand my work every day and respect all the best I'm trying to do in my life. That's why I hope we can stay in a good term, you and me, and just trying to forget bad things. I'm asking you all of this with my heart. I'm really sorry again. I'm ready to come meet you in person, face to face, to speak about it if you can tomorrow. So this goes to the whole story about them trying to manipulate them to stay quiet. And what's so amazing to me is that, okay, if you send nude pictures of yourself to an underage person, you have just stepped into a mountain. Okay, a mountainous problem, right? But then he goes into the Olympics being a stressful situation. Honey, like you going to the Olympics doesn't care. I know that that's like the center of your world, but in the world at large, no one cares. Okay, no one cares.
Yeah,
no one cares that you are going to the Olympics. But this kind of shows the world in which these
But he's saying
live.
that because this happened during that Olympic season.
Yes.
So what happened then should not be.
Yeah, let's keep it
taken
quiet.
as seriously. Okay. Oh, so just get out of jail free card.
Yes,
because it was an Olympic season. I see.
But that's also the reality of the skating rink. You know, this behavior of that when skaters become very self-involved and very myopic, that's a learned behavior. That is so communicated down by everyone involved in skating. So
right, that this person matters more. This project matters more than you. Yes. Your safety, all that sort of stuff.
Yes, I mean that whole behavior is completely learned. So. It's completely incredible. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty damning, I would say. That doesn't help his case, okay, at any stretch of the imagination. Or they already had video of him sent, like, of them, the pictures coming from his account when they were open. They were sent in they were sent in an Instagram, like a single viewer. Like if you wanted to send a picture to someone that they could only view one time, that is kind of how they were sent.
Oh, right.
So.
Okay.
Anyway.
Which I'm such like a grandma about the whole thing. Isn't that if you take the photo through Instagram?
No.
Like if you take...
No, you can send it. You pull it from your camera angle. Like it's the same way that you would do it if you were taking a photo, but you can choose to pull it from your album and send it that way.
I see. Okay, got it.
And then it allows, you have the option, like allow replay, the whole...
Okay.
So, anyway,
gotcha.
That is that. Then we had your other favorite skater. Remember Laurine, who skated that program?
Oh my gosh, it's on Twitter, and I didn't know if this was real or if this was gossip.
No, this was real. This was posted in the French L'Equipe newspaper. Remember Laurine she was one of the first people who brought back the whole costume change. Remember, she did the program where she was virginal Sandy, and then costume changed to slutty Sandy at the end of the program.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
We really enjoyed the camp of it. She's also been one of those skaters where she can skate much better in practice than in competition, and it becomes a real hot mess over time.
Well, she started to seem like maybe she could do something, and then she switched over to Corey, and we never heard from her again.
Corey, she was dating another skater. There's just like a lot going on. She's one of those skaters where she should be much better than maybe.
It was on Europeans before, maybe 2 before the Olympics, that you thought, oh, okay, maybe this could do something, and then the answer was no.
Yeah. So, well, she tested positive for cocaine in September. Jonathan. Now, what I think is so hilarious about this is that remember that Canadian fans, they hate France. Like, we are so not over 2002 ever, right? With DDA.
Okay.
And one of our See Alive people sends a lot of messages, right? And she was like all over this. And she's like, how's DDA going to explain this one? But this is what I love about Canadians. When I actually shared the link on Facebook, said fan wrote, I hope she gets the help she needs.
You're like, you care or you don't? Like, what's the deal here? Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. And also, do you think DDA is invested?
No.
In Laureen? Do you think he even cares? No.
I mean, they need some lady. They need a warm body to skate. I mean, mildly invested in Laureen. I mean, they don't really have a lot of talented skaters. But also, we don't know if this was a one-time thing. Was she... I'm curious about the optics of this.
And she tested positive for cocaine at like a competition?
Yeah. So it would be around the time of the French Masters competition in September, right? When they go out and show their performances. And sometimes we can see Papadakis and Cizeron skate. And sometimes, I don't know, they confiscate cell phones like it's Mary Kate Olsen's wedding. Like, I don't know exactly how we do this whole thing. But anyway, and was she partying before her long program, like days before?
Right.
Cocaine doesn't stay in your system for that long. That's what's always interesting, is that people that test positive for cocaine usually test positive in the out of competition tests, right? Like in training, as if they had a rough weekend and someone comes on Monday or Tuesday, then they would test positive for it. Now, if you're a heavy user, then traces of it would still be in your body for maybe a longer period of time. But that... obviously, more questions there.
It's not something we really hear about as much in the current crop of competitive skaters. Of course, we're talking all about doping and performance enhancement, but just recreational usage, it doesn't seem to be that kind of generation at the moment. So that it did kind of come as a shock. And also when they do those drug testing sorts of things, are they specifying? Like, is that something they have to specifically look for?
Yeah, that's one of the things that would come up. I mean... Okay.
Because I think you'd have to put in a
So illegal drugs are all illegal. Like, illegal drugs are illegal. And I don't know if they go into all the reasons why, but they are You can't be doing heroin either and competing in the Olympic Games. That's a no-go. Okay.
Yeah. Turns out that's a deal breaker.
That might be against the Olympic Charter. Like, you could debate if it's going to help your performance all day, but that's not allowed. Okay. Yeah. We don't have to. Yeah. As far as Laurine goes, I mean, we don't know if it was a partying thing. I mean, that could be why you're trying to sabotage your career. Maybe you think your career is already over and you're not moving on. There's all sorts of things there. But yeah, that was an interesting thing because people kept asking why she wasn't competing this year. And
now we know why.
Now we know why. So yeah, that was a little bit of a shocker. I was like, oh, okay. I mean,
okay, Laureen.
I kind of want her to compete again. She just got way more interesting. Couldn't you imagine her being like in the Olympics and hearing Terry Gannon go, well, a couple of years ago there was a failed drug test and now she's back and resolving those, they would probably call it personal issues, right? Resolving those personal issues, and she's doing better than ever.
Exactly. And her nose is bleeding during a scratch.
Jonathan, you're awful.
Must be the altitude. Okay.
Speaking of problems and bleeding, I am going to do a whole video on spitting out. I was going to do it the other day. I've been under the weather. I've had kind of one of those things where I felt the cold coming on, so I started resting and doing airborne like immediately and doing all my fluids, but it didn't get to like the head with like snotting and everything like that, but I've been very run down the last couple of days. So I've been
well, and you're running a lot of things right now. Like, I mean, you're go.
I'm go, but
it's like another this, another that. And I'm like, I don't know how he sleeps.
I'll be back to it, but I just have been very under the weather the last.
And you always impress me. I was thinking about this the other day because if I ever like see a screenshot from your phone or something, I can clearly see you have 800 text messages.
You always get a reply.
You're always texting. You always know all the articles. You always know who's doing what and all this sort of stuff. But then I will tell you, in person, you don't look at your phone. You are completely engaged in a moment. So for someone who is that connected on their phone and knows all these things, yet in person to never be that guy that just picks it up and is reading it the whole time, it really impresses me. I don't know how you find the time.
Then there's like people that, okay, so like I stay on top of things, but then I'll get texts from people that watch the show, and I don't want to be rude, but they'll send me texts. Like they'll send me an article that I read like 4 days ago, and I'll be like, thanks. And I just like do the emoji then, because like what else to say? Like
thanks for sharing. Yeah, but I got it. I've already posted it. Yeah,
it was already posted like days ago. Thank you.
I've already done an entire YouTube show about it.
Oh, you don't think I knew that Reagan Smith was going to the University of Oklahoma? Like we were on this like a year ago. Oh, got it.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Exactly.
This is what, Jonathan, not everyone gets like the same level of engagement. You know, it's fine. The phone is fine. I'm not stressed about the number of text messages ever. It's just like that number.
Okay.
That's just like, is what it is. Yeah. Like, who cares? Okay.
It's just a number, Dave. Okay.
I do get stressed when it's like, oh, I should have replied to that person and I didn't. You know, that's the kind of thing.
I know, yeah.
But
tell me about spinning out. I watched the first, I'm like halfway through the 5th episode. There are 10 episodes all in all on Netflix. It's a Netflix original series.
Yes.
And I was intrigued. You know, South Park did a whole episode where they would just say, thanks for calling Netflix, you're greenlit, because they've just been saying yes to everything. But so I was intrigued that someone at Netflix thought a skating show would be a good idea, because yes, of course, we'll watch it. But I'm intrigued who outside of skating may watch it. But it wasn't.
Well, it's not strictly skating.
I was expecting it to be really bad.
So if you notice, it's really not strictly skating, and most of these shows are not, right? Like if it was just strictly skating, it would probably be more of a young adult show, like a Bunheads or a Make It or Break It or Dance Academy, something along those lines. But they went for more of an adult market here. You can tell they have, it's all about bipolar disorder, mental illness, which I'll do a whole separate thing on the show. It's very reductive of other movies. I saw a lot of influences of Spinning Out. I saw a lot of Black Swan in there. What I thought was a little bit offensive was the fact that they never differentiate between the protagonist's propensity to bite herself with bipolar disorder, and they kind of conflate the two throughout the series by just focusing so much on mental illness and using the label crazy and mental illness so often, which is a huge trigger for people who have bipolar disorder. I felt that was really clumsy in the series. Just the whole notion that if you have bipolar disorder, you're crazy, because that is a huge trigger of those.
Of course,
who have that.
And now you know someone who has bipolar disorder. So now, does that mean when she gets stressed, she bites all the skin out of her arm? You know what I mean?
No, I mean that's clearly like a different issue. You know, the stress with the self-mutilating and why that happens with the depression. So that's obviously kind of a bit of an homage or a copying of Natalie Portman, who was scratching herself in Black Swan. I thought that it was interesting. There's always a lot of sex, and I was excited by all of it. I loved it. Made it very interesting.
Except for, I'm sorry, that partner with the hair plugs in the front, it was the most unattractive, distracting thing I had ever seen on television. Again, it's this thing. I don't understand why in 2019 people are afraid to like just have whatever hair. It literally, those bangs were artificially inserted onto his forehead, and it was the most distractive. It was completely... The only thing more distracting than that in the show was the fact that every female character, from coach to mom to daughter to sister, is the same age.
Age.
When it first started, I was like, wait, are they all sisters? Or wait, she's talking to an older sister. Oh, no, that's the mom. Like, it was completely...
And what I thought was interesting is that Emma Roberts from American Horror Story was originally supposed to play Kat, even though Emma Roberts is kind of a villain in real life. Didn't she beat up her boyfriend and the whole deal? I mean, she would have been great as that rival pair skater, but she was supposed to be the Kat character, so maybe they were all supposed to be blondes. Also, not only are they the same age, and I don't want to get into this, but none of them remotely resembled figure skaters. I mean, maybe the friend, but none of them. I mean, Kat is like 1,000,001 inches tall, and then she's doing pair skater. I mean, and none of them are really the appropriate ages. You're 21 and trying to pass your senior test. I mean,
when really, actually, they're all 30.
Yeah,
or whatever is happening.
And then the younger sister that was in the Hunger Games, she didn't really look like a skater. I mean, no, it was whatever. Who cares? I mean,
it's semantics, but
there were people on Twitter who were very upset, who skate themselves. You know.
Get off it. If you think it's going to be you know what I mean?
They were like,
welcome
but
to anything.
You can allow retests in your... So the whole thing is, if you take a skating test, right? If you take a moves in the field test in the US, you're allowed one botched element that you can reskate and still pass. If you do a freestyle, you can make 2 errors and get reskates at the end of the test. They'll have you repeat those elements. So... the main character misses the double Lutz, and of course fails. Betty Draper huffs and puffs and blows her house down, leaves the rink in very dramatic fashion. And they say that she has to wait 6 months, which is also not correct. I mean, my skating club has tests every month.
But the point is, they're trying to create drama. They're trying to create the circumstances around, because even... Okay, the skating details aside, there comes an opportunity for this skater who's had a traumatic situation. She's got a tumultuous home life. She's unhappy with the sport. She doesn't know what to do. And then, literally like a deus ex machina, the first boyfriend we meet offers to take her away to a different country and start a whole new thing. And I was like, forget the test. Go skate for London with Zoe, or go skate for Britain with Zoe Jones or something. Yeah.
Listen,
you could be champion over there.
Oh my God, there was a lot of drama happening. Okay.
Yeah.
Although I will say, people will say that this show was completely over the top. Look at the drama we've had in the last week. We have Gracie Gold talking about her laxatives and Sudafed use. We have Vincent dropping out of college. We have Laurine doing cocaine. We have Morgan talking about sexting underage children. I mean, there's a lot of drama in skating to begin with. So, yeah.
Right.
What I thought was funny is the skating double. Sometimes you can really tell. So a lot of times when they were just doing solo skating, Justin was being stunt doubled by Dylan Moskovich. And Kat, when she was a beautiful skater, would be stunt doubled by Liz Putnam. But then when they were doing pair elements, it was Evelyn and Trent from Canada. And what's so funny is that Kat's skating skills go from like a 10 to like a 6.5, depending on whether they are doing pair elements or they are doing solo elements. And I thought that was really rather amusing.
And again, a noble effort that I feel like some of these cast members really did have at least a familiarity with being on skates and stuff like that. But it's still... It took you so out of whatever story they were trying to tell in the moment. But, even back
we did get a Twitter, Sanford from Israel who always likes to message us, goes, do you think the actors are skating themselves?
I think for some of those opening poses, when it's clear they are. But I think...
I think Kat may have gone like this with her hands during the beginning of the tango in the Tessa Virtue dress.
Well, she looks like this weird combination of a brunette Ashley Wagner crossed with Tessa in a strange way.
Michael Shanley's take is that when she is on her meds, she's Tessa Virtue, and when she's off her meds, she is Ashley Wagner. He said that she goes from Tessa to Ashley so fast. And I didn't come up with that. I can't take credit. Okay. Yell at Michael Shanley if you are like an Ashley Wagner, want to say that she's sweet, all of it. Okay. But he is like...
Who has a large poster in the other sister's room? There's a giant Mariah poster in that room and a giant Ashley poster. It's like funny.
As there should be. Okay.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on in the series. I loved all of it.
I think the part that may seem most accurate to me is when the sister starts... nailing that triple flip, double toe or whatever in one thing. And the other mom is like, I'm so glad you're getting your jumps because you really need them because of your artistic score. And I was like, oh, that is such like a dance mom, skating mom sort of thing to say. And I think my favorite moment then was in a carpool when she gets dropped off and she's like, and I want to say to you, Mrs. Whatever, your new haircut is beautiful and it makes your face look way less puffy.
Yeah.
That's great. And I was like, I feel like I have seen these exchanges like on the sides of the board or like in the lobby. Yeah.
Like some of it was very real. Although there's a lot of drinking. We just finished practice and we start doing shots all the time. I really enjoyed that. Also, every character needed to have an issue and a secret almost at any point in time.
Right.
None of the coaches were remotely mean or abusive. They were all supportive. They were all encouraging. They were all pecans.
Who knew besides Jenny that Boise had such like a happening Idaho skating scene?
Yeah, and it was filmed in Canada. So where is this beautiful part of Canada? I'm sure Desiree has already commented where it was in Canada.
Because it is lovely. Yeah.
She's in the comments and she's very concerned about Laurine, remember. But I'm sure, because you know how those passive-aggressive Canadians are. I've warned you about them for a long time, Jonathan. Okay.
Yeah, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
But it looked beautiful. It's not real Sun Valley, but it almost makes you want to go to Canada if it weren't so cold. So maybe in the summer, I don't know, we can
go visit.
We can go visit Lake Placid in the summer and see all the restaurants where Linda probably cried over the silver medal. Okay, we can... Dancing Bears.
We could go to that bathroom where the mom supposedly overheard the conversation. Now, speaking of other news, though, we did find out, is it true that Skate America is going to be...
Oh, it's going to be back in Vegas, baby. Yes!
At the same venue.
And the Synchro fans would like you to know that it will also... that Synchro Nationals will be there, too. Someone wrote me a message that Synchro is a very interesting and unique discipline, and they would like us to talk about it. I just sent the recaps that we did last year. So
yeah, it's like, well, tell your friends because more people could watch it then.
But anyway, skating fans are fun. Jenny's Synchro team got 6th out of 11, and it was like a miracle. It was a Christmas miracle. I don't know how they pulled it off.
They're lucky to have her,
But they had a rough practice day the day before, and they skated a clean program. I mean, you want to talk about Synchro girls going down? I mean, they were falling left and right during their official run-through. Okay.
Yeah.
And now, like, La talked about how she doesn't like touching people, so she doesn't think she'd be able to do synchro. And I can't get it out of my head. La is afraid of, like, other synchro
like they're trying
girls.
to do those, like, pinwheels. She's like, don't touch me.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you imagine La doing synchro?
Would you say she's a lone wolf?
Yes.
Oh, spinning out reference. Okay.
Excuse me. So spinning out, of course, the Canadians are going to talk about the fact that it was Tessa Virtue's dress, the homage. Right. But the friend was wearing Una Kim's dress from the 2011 World Championships. And I thought, these researchers, they did a lot of research on the costumes and not so much of a research on the skating. Also, they all struggle when they're talking about the skating terminology, especially Betty Draper, January Jones. When she's talking about the triple toe during the pilot episode, it was very awkward when she's yelling at her over breakfast about she's still rapping.
That's what I was really nervous when I saw that opening scene, because I was like, this is going to be such a cringe fest, because she's like, don't forget to practice the triple toe. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be like so lowest common denominator. But they kind of got out of that.
They got away from they got what they were good at: sex, drama, Russians, the whole deal. It was great.
Because it's interesting, even in I, Tonya, which I genuinely enjoyed, I thought the least successful part of the film was the skating.
Yes.
Both cinematography-wise and in kind of taking me out of the story-wise. And that's going to happen for people that are super fans, but
they
navigate pretty well here. Yeah, I think so too.
I, Tonya, the camera angles and the stuff with the skating was very weird. Also, Tonya was really skinny and tall, the skating double. So it was all sorts.
And it's, to me, the spotlight. I mean, that was the same thing. The minute everything's dark and in spotlight, I was like, this doesn't feel right. And that's how they were doing the eye to
That stuff. Is what you're going to be most upset about. You know, that is.
But I won't care about if you can retake the test or not, because I was like, we're trying to move the plot forward here, people. Come on. Go with me on this one.
Listen, the skating fans, you know, like the Amber Brennan types, they will want to have all of the factual things that makes them feel better about their own skating tests. Okay, so
that's right. That's right.
Oh my God.
You know who needs to feel better, Dave?
Who? Eunsoo.
Eunsoo. Yeah, I was trying to do a Dave Lees-esque transition there.
So Eunsoo's performance at the Korean Nationals not so successful.
And you know what? And this is, look at us tying it in with spinning out. And I don't mean to ruin it for those yet to indulge in the magical drama that is spinning out. But with the two sisters, there's that conversation when when Kat is talking to the coach, and she's like, you probably want my younger sister because she's better. Mm-hmm. And she said, well, she's more consistent and she's stronger. Mm. But she's not magic. You're magic, and you can't teach the magic. And of course, we talk about that all the time here, about the X Factor and all that sort of stuff. And she's still got that magic.
Now, do you know the Russian coach is skating yet? Do you know her secrets yet?
I haven't. No, I did sneak ahead and read. Like, it was clear whenever they set that up when she looked at the picture, and she's like, "Is this your sister?" And she was like, "No." That I was like, okay, she's going to get her own episode later on.
Oh, and does she ever? Okay.
Okay.
Oh, Dasha has many dramatic moments in the second half of the series.
Don't ruin the secret, because I will watch it.
Oh, my goodness. Okay?
Okay.
I haven't been that excited since the music group Tattoo, okay? I just have to tell you.
Okay.
Anyway.
I feel like Dorothy has something to say.
Dorothy loved it. She thought that they needed more Dorothy Hamill references during it.
Yes, she would.
But it was fine, okay?
Okay. But for real, I think that even with all the technical problem, Eunsoo still has this magic thing. Her skating looks expensive.
Well, that's something I'll say. The dress doesn't come cheap, honey. Okay.
No, the dress looks like $1 million. She looks like $1 million. There's just something classy.
Lisa, I'm not calling you overpriced. I think you're worth every cent that you cost for those, every detail. But we may have to sell our used costumes back on the black market because a Lisa McKinnon original worth every cent, but we can't keep those other dresses, okay? I mean, it's expensive to be me, all right? Like, right. I don't know about this.
But you get what you pay for. I mean, it like no one else. It's ridiculous.
Her and Matthew Caron. Okay, Lisa and Matthew, you can't. All right. And Sarah Kawahara, great choreography in spinning out. I think that people should copy that tango short program. And the pairs, Alexa and Chris, could do it. Okay. Alexa needs a brunette moment. So, anyway,
yeah, that's fine.
So I was thinking, Eunsoo, she needs to relearn to jump. The fact that she was 7th here, I think, is such a blessing in disguise in the long run because she has had the worst year. She has grown several inches. Her timing is completely off.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk to you about it because when we saw her at the last Grand Prix, what was really happening is every jump went up at this total 45-degree angle and she could never right it. So it was, some of those jumps were very scary because they were
rhythm is off. And you could tell even, especially in her flips here, but even in her loop, she gets a little bit lost in her arms. Her arms and legs aren't working together. She's not feeling confident just in her jumping in general since she got taller. And you could tell that she's working at different speeds and working at different kind of intensity levels with the energy that she's doing and the strength from.
Well, and the slow-mo was really interesting here, how much they were honing in on exclusively the blade on the takeoffs, which I'm not used to so much. Usually you're getting full leg and all that sort of stuff. But
those Koreans want receipts because they are ready to take on Adelina Sotnikova. They are giving Kula King the shots. All right. They want. They're ready to go, Jonathan.
Yeah.
You don't mess with Korea.
This blade was so clear, and then it became clear. Instead of her angle situation here, she was delaying like crazy until it started to rotate, which I didn't think was one of her problems from this season. But if you're saying it's the timing, so everything's going to be wrong in a different way every time because it's just
she's doing the flips were the same mistake both times, but it's clear how
And she was doing a bit of that Kosternaya knee bend pick in.
I mean, she is trying to get up in the air. She is not confident about her jumping. So, I mean, it really looks like she needs about 6 months to sort out what is going on. And they rearrange her programs a lot, as they do throughout the season, which again speaks to me that her mother, I think, is also directing the show the way Nathan Chen's mom and the way January Jones and Spinning Out is obviously directing the show. I believe Eunsoo's mother is also very involved in what is happening, and they've changed the jumps and the order and everything like that. And even the loop and the Saokao, which were so strong for her and other competitions, were not strong here. Also, it showed that this Korean ranking competition is not really needed again because Eunsoo didn't magically get better between a month and now. She actually got worse.
No new information was necessarily gained.
Yeah. That was clear here. It's a little. I do say overall that comparing them to Russia and Japan, the nationals that we've seen, they have very clean skating. They have very
classy. There's
classy
a
presentation, and they have more projection. Certainly,
which is interesting because they were in one of those rinks. It felt like a practice rink. Without the arena, you miss, even just watching on YouTube or whatever, that projection up and open, because there were literally walls around that. I don't even mean the hockey barriers. Some were just full-blown hallway walls, and people were in stands. It seemed a competition worthy.
They don't have the Shoma Uno knees going on here, any of that, but they do have a lot of very classy presentation happening. Good speed, good flow at the edge. So kind of more of an American skating technique.
Yeah, and some of the... It was interesting, like, between young Yu, for instance, like, I see her technique at work, and I see her consciously thinking about it. So, although I admire the position she hits, and obviously her triple axel is impressive when it's sticking, like...
It's also still that unnatural entrance edge on Young Yu's triple axel. It's not...
almost delayed, like, you think she's going to choose not to do it.
It almost looks like from a diagonal. It's not like the edge is not the same as Rika's. It's not the same as the other students Mia Hamada has worked with, but it's getting better ish. I mean, certainly in her rotation, she looks more confident. She looks stronger than she did a year ago.
Better in the short program here than in the long. But there's something really nice when she gets it. And when she gets certain combos, it looks so clean and easy to understand. Like, I was aware of what just happened, but it's the in-between bits, of course, that will need some help because...
But better than a year ago. A year ago, it was real bad. And remember, I'm afraid of the Korean fans a bit, but I wasn't... I didn't feel enthusiasm for her presentation a year ago, and I think that there's been a lot of...
I think she can grow it.
Made.
I think,
She's got
right now, I just see in that concentration phase, which, fair enough, you're doing things that require concentration, but she's yet to be able to take herself out of that.
The jumps look much better, just bigger, especially in the second half of the program. For her, Haein Lee, much better performance here than at the Junior Grand Prix final. Still lovely, although I did see a bent-legged spiral from Haein Lee.
I was just going to say, because she has such a beautiful quality to a lot of the positions she's in, and then it was the spiral in the free skate that I was like, now what? That is a totally different skater, a totally different level.
Dorothy didn't like that. Dorothy did not like that. And this week, in my illness, I needed to feel better, so I rewatched the Robin Cousins documentary. And I rewatched John Curry's Ice King. I mean, and that is porn. And he would not... John Curry was offended by that spiral. He needs his own Barbie. He deserves one. And let me tell you.
His own Ken.
He basically invented Lori Nickel. She was in the John Curry theater company. So it was a rough one.
But she has beautiful qualities, and I see this going very well.
Yeah, she has the same coach as Eunsoo, but Eunsoo
clearly is bringing some of her own things to the table there.
But I thought that Yelim Kim looked more... So she had more strength than last year. She had a bit more expression in the first half of the program, but she got so winded in the second half. It was amazing, and her shoulders went forward. You can really...
This is in the Evita we're talking about, right? Who did Evita?
No, Evita is Young-Yu.
Sorry. What was Yelim's music for the
Love
free?
Story?
I'm so sorry. Love Story, that's what it was. Yes, it just completely ran out of gas.
Yeah. And she needs to be more in the second half. And she struggles with that. And her shoulders, you can see them actually go forward in her posture. But she was still doing the jumps, and the jumps were much bigger than they were a year ago. But she needs to work on her stamina. I thought overall that her skating has really improved compared to last year.
And giving her something like the Maleficent short program was, I think it's a bit beyond her current capabilities, but it's a teaching mechanism. And it also kind of, because it's such a moody piece and ambient piece, like it helps her, I think. Even though I see that she's not really emoting, I see that it's serving a purpose. That type of program versus sort of the generic beautiful loveliness of a love story where it can fall flat or slow.
So that was happening. I did think that Junhwa Cha, who had such a terrible Grand Prix, had a really nice outing here in the free.
I thought this was like a real moment.
Yeah.
Although he did wear, I'm trying to remember now, this would have been the free program, where the back of that shirt kind of had a Georgia O'Keeffe quality to it that was a bit distracting for me. But the jumps in general, his air position looked beautiful. In the short, that quad was sensational. The axle, I was like, that's where I want to know the information. What happened between the end of the Grand Prix and here?
I'm wondering, was he injured over the summer, is what I was wondering.
Okay.
I noticed that his back lunge was not as extended, but he still did a lovely Inabauer, so I wasn't sure. But I wasn't sure if there was an injury at any point or if they just made different...
Because this was so different. I was so excited about his trajectory, and then the start of this year was so wonky.
He's a great all-around skater. He's not the single best at spins. His jumps are not the most natural, but overall, he's very balanced in terms of what he does on the ice. So
and again, the jumping seemed solid to me here, and to the point where, I mean, this was the kind of performance I wondered why I didn't do the quad, sow, and toe in the short. But I know, obviously, because of the history, it would be too unreliable. But yeah, I was thrilled for him.
Yeah.
Because I thought they were effective programs, even though the free skate music is a little sleepy to me, or a little one note. He was able to make it build by skating so well. Like, it was a total success here. So
He was
yeah,
great.
loved it.
Loved it, yes. And it really moved the season forward. I had a very good time watching Korean Nationals. It was a very satisfying competition.
Yeah, a palate cleanser, if you will.
Yeah, I just hope that Eunsoo can get her jumps together, because such a vision on the ice to be having. And she was so
unlike
upset.
anyone else. It's just inherent what has been given there, but that's a great burden.
Eunsoo needs to go off her meds, and she'll land the triple toe. That's all that needs to happen. That's what we learned from spinning out.
Right. Do the push-ups outside in the winter by the garbage cans, and you'll be there. So it helped Serena's triple flip. It can help yours.
It really did help. Oh my God. I don't know why I'm yawning. I slept 1,000,001 hours. I've just had the illness. Okay, I've slept all weekend. Yeah. I've been on the couch, and I'm still like yawning away. I tell people,
well, you're still on the couch. Yeah,
I'm not myself. I'm sorry, people. I am not myself. I am like Eunsoo this season. I am just not my normal self. But we will be back and better than ever. And next week we'll be previewing the Canadian and the U.S. Nationals, because things are really moving forward, Jonathan. And
some great showdowns coming up. Yeah. And this was one too. The Korean ladies, like, they brought great depth of competition here.
So what was your moment of the week?
Oh, well, not hating spinning out as much as I could have. I'm not saying this is stellar television programming, but I didn't loathe it like I was afraid I might. But I'm going to say Junhwa Cha.
Okay.
I was thrilled at seeing someone struggle and not knowing how they were either going to go further or they were going to completely rise out of it. And so to see him skate so beautifully and so well was very heartwarming for me.
So I had like two moments.
Okay, hit me.
The skating scene when they have that like outside date at night and spinning out when they're skating under the moonlight. Oh, it was everything.
Now, is that the one that I saw then where the skier guy walks past and I was like, oh, now this is just like some cheesy, winter romance movie. But yeah, okay.
Oh my God, it was like a Hallmark movie with Candace Cameron.
Yeah, Hallmark. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Oh, it was giving me all the feels.
Meredith Baxter Birney could have been the mom.
Could have been the mom. All right.
With the pills and okay.
Yeah, no one had anorexia in the movie. Like, what kind of a skating show is this? Okay.
Exactly.
But then it was Dylan Moskovich saying his whole dramatic post about his acting, and then how the integrity of the piece of the work.
Well, here's the thing, because so far we saw Johnny. Johnny is one of the partners in the movie.
Okay.
But then I thought, is that Dylan? Because we knew he was like attempting some sort of foray into acting, and
he's combining his two worlds, acting and skating, is what Instagram told us.
Well, yeah. He really said both worlds, and I thought, oh, okay, so you're a part of that world now. Mm-hmm. Good to know. I don't know that anyone knew that officially. Yeah, you know what? I'm 2020. I'm just going to let it slide right past. You know what? I hope he finds whatever it is he's looking for, Dave.
And remember, skating breeds this, is what we were saying.
That's right. Yeah, I hope he gets the help he needs. What's the comment about?
Desiree, stop it. Okay, we're on to you, Canadians. Okay?
I hope he gets the acting help he needs. Yes. So, yeah.
Well, as always, I want to remind you to hold an edge and look sexy like Kat. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.